so sometimes it definitely makes sense to rest. And particularly to rest that part of your body. So like if it's your shoulder, say, then you don't do a lot of chaturanga or things like that. You have to get inventive about what you can do. Okay, and so it's not about whether you practice or not practice. Okay, that resting an injury. And that takes some knowledge and experience. Like more as a beginner, it's harder to be creative about how you could interpret practice to accommodate being injured without making that worse or prolonging it. But that's something you want to have on your mind, that you're developing that ability to change things up and be creative. And there's so much work you can do. Working some part of the practice. It's kind of amazing. And we can kind of get into tunnel thinking, where my practice is I do first series up to this point, or whatever it is. I go through first and then I do second, and that's what I do. And then if I get hurt, I can't do that, so forget it for now, or whatever. I'll take it a day off. And it's like, no, you can, there's so many things, right? Like I said, if your shoulder is hurt, you can work your legs. Okay? If your knee is hurt, then you can work on inversions and different things. Or if you can't do Padmasana, well, then you can do Virasana or something else, right? There's always something else. And, or there's so much breathing work and mudras, the bandhas, and it's just... So, but you have it right to hear that to question it. But I also think this idea that it creates a depressing emotional response. Now that's significant, right? And because something creates a depressing emotional response is not a reason not to practice. In fact, it's kind of a good thing to look at that and go through that. And it's very interesting, actually, to be injured and to be bummed about it. And then to see your reaction to that. And there's a tendency to just throw it out. I won't do that because that makes me feel bad. When that isn't necessarily the most powerful, the most empowering response to if you have an injury, right? And because really the yogi has a curious response to every vritti, every emotion, every thought that comes up. Part of the yoga perspective is detachment. You see that, you observe that, and you notice its pull. You notice that there's a depressing emotional response, but you don't get pulled into it, and you don't respond to it by not practicing or by practicing harder, right? You make a stance and watch that and just observe it. And in doing that, there's a purification. Okay, so because that's what this tapas is, it's purifying. So that the depressing, if you get attached to the depressing emotional response, or if you hate it, you get mad at it, that's a toxic thing, right? And so by meeting it with a sort of equanimity and with an examination, then you will come up with a better response to the whole thing, to the injury, to the decision of whether I should rest or what kind of work I should do, and how I'm feeling about it. All those things will you'll be able to negotiate that with more skill.